All right, Radiant Group with Coach Cicely, and I've got my laptop today, and we're going to see how it does with sound, and got it stat 3 high, so we're going to see how it does with eye contact with the lens. But yes, this prompt for today, I found that there's actually one that I had to do a little bit more releasing on, because really my former, I call it an industry, it's really a religion. It was like the Jehovah's Witnesses. And it's like, I don't know if many of you know much about them, but they're like a Christian sect. And they believe in Armageddon and that anybody that's not, saved, so to speak, will be destroyed at this thing called Armageddon. They don't necessarily believe like in hellfire like most Christian religions do, but they just believe they'll be destroyed forever and never come back and not get to live on a paradise earth. And what really bothered me about that religion was the fact that they preached that God was a God of love, and they preached this thing called inherited sin, where we were sinners because of things we inherited from our family. And so I could never really get that a God of love would destroy somebody or make them not live in a paradise because of something that wasn't their fault. But I was raised that was, they called it the truth. And so it's kind of like I didn't really question it because that was the truth. And to me, I was just a slow learner, and in time, Jehovah would reveal it to me. And so that's how it always, do with things that I didn't really understand. And it really bothered me because we'd have to go door to door and talk to anybody at the door, no matter what religion they were, what religious background they were, and persuade them to become a Jehovah's Witness. Now, back then, I wasn't looking at it as like a sales job. I was looking at it as like preaching for Jehovah and his kingdom. But after I left and I was going, experiment with different sales jobs, I wanted to know how it was that they were able to keep me like that, like really make me believe that I was serving God and that everybody else was wrong and I was right. And so what it is it's called early conditioning. And a lot of religions do that. They try to get the parents to get the kids while they're young, because in that state of mind, they call it the theta state. And you were like from when you're born to about 6 years old, that's where most of your thoughts and stuff. I know this now because of research, trying to figure out what had happened, but it's kind of like early conditioning. And then you got these. Once you get there, it's kind of like you get baptized, and then it's called they call them a captive cult because it's kind of like while you're in the cult, you're not supposed to have association with anybody outside the cult because they're considered worldly people and bad association, and Jehovah didn't like that. But then if you were to get this fellowship because you didn't agree with them, which is what I finally did, or disassociate yourself, or because you did something that they consider against a sin against God, then you couldn't have association with anybody inside the cult. So it's kind of like you found yourself in a stuck position because it's kind of like, okay, these people that aren't Jehovah's Witnesses, they're still worldly and I can't associate with them, yet I can't associate with the people inside the cult because they're considering me bad now. And so it's kind of like a no-win situation you found yourself in. And so that this video could go on and on and on, but that's one thing that I really disagreed with that cult was the fact that they taught that people that weren't of that cult they wouldn't have Jehovah's favor, and they taught that it's called disfellowshipping or disassociating, but some people know it as shunning, where it's really just a technique to keep members because it's like you lose everything if you leave the organization. And also they taught they didn't teach hellfire, but they used fear of Armageddon, what they call God's Day. And so that's how you were trained. And so to a normal person, I don't know if any of you have been visited by a Jehovah's Witness, or maybe you have been a Jehovah's Witness, or you have family that are Jehovah's Witness. Everything looks like they're God's people because that's what they try to teach them based on their scriptures based on their interpretation of the Bible. And so that for me growing up, because my grandmama, well, most of my family, they were Baptists, but my parents, they started studying with the Jehovah's Witnesses. And so, pretty much I was raised around the belief that the Bible was the Word of God. And so, even today, like the job that I had when I was trying to learn sales and what it was all about, it was a door-to-door job also. And I got fired after 3 months because I just couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure out what was bothering me about that job. But then it was like after I got fired and I left and went to the homeless shelter, it's kind of like it was what was bothering me was the same things that they were using to sell energy door to door, the Jehovah's Witnesses were using. And it's like that's when it really dawned on me. And it's only been like about a year ago that these connections are being made, and it's kind of like um, all the things that they use to sell. It's like we were being taught that like the use of the right question, the making them think about scarcity and just and it's kind of like a used car salesman, like all the things that they do to get people to buy their product. Well, that's what we were doing, trying to get people to come into the religion, which was we call it making disciples, having Bible studies. And really, I guess what really bothered me again about this was it was taking away people's free will. Like we go to doors and people would already have their religion, and it was our job to convince them that their religion was the wrong religion and that we had the truth and they needed to get on board or, that was the end of them. And just like the energy job, it was kind of like we go to people's doors and they'd already have their own energy suppliers, but it was our job to help them see that whoever they had was not the right one. They had to get on board with us. And so even sales now, like even with my coaching company, it's kind of like sometimes it's hard because I feel like I'm doing the same thing. So I just want to put it out there and let people decide what if it's for them or not like pushing stuff on somebody. And so yeah, that's pretty much the industry that I left and some of the reasons why I left the industry and I can't wait to see what you guys are. I might have to do a little bit more releasing on this one as well. See you later, and may the universe show you something beautiful today.